In this video, I'm going to attempt to show how to replace a windshield on a 1963 Chevy C10 with the stainless steel trim around the windshield. Not all of the trucks came with stainless steel trim. It makes it a little more difficult to my understanding. Brothers is a vendor that has a nice video of a guy replacing a wraparound windshield like this, and I'm going to follow those instructions, but the stainless steel trim is not described. As you can see, my windshield has a lot of delamination, and over on this side it has these rainbow stripes from the windshield wiper blades being damaged. On the back of the glass I have some cracks. It's the big back glass. This has a bead that inserts, so we're going to replace that too. And I'm just fortunate enough over here to have salvaged 1961 glass, including big bag glass. That's just extra stuff I saved. And the reason the glass is coming out is I need some repair here up on the A-pillar. I have a big hole right here, and this piece is pretty rotten all the way down. And thankfully I have a good piece from a 1961 truck that I salvaged, so that will be used for the repair patch. I intend to use a knife to cut through the old cracked rubber, and then we'll figure out how the trim comes out. I'm under the impression that trying to pull the trim out before removing and cutting the rubber would be a mistake. I would probably damage it. I think you can see up here at the top part where I can peel some of this down. I found some cracked areas, so I'm peeling out the area that would be, I guess, to the inside of the trim. And that seems to be working very nicely. I think it's cracked and damaged enough that I'm pulling that out. And then we'll get a look at the trim and see how it's inserted. Well, the serrated knife didn't really do too much, so I'm going to try this pick to grab a hold of some of that rubber pieces and see if I can't pull it out. I was able to get this piece out, and it has an interesting lip, which I will show later. But it's an interesting configuration. So what seems to work best is to run a knife along the windshield and the rubber and cut down through that outer layer to the level where it meets the edge of the windshield, at which point you will see that it's contacting, your knife blade will contact the horizontal edge of the steel trim. So that's your stopping point. I've removed the rubber here, and I'm trying to remove it here. And it's a struggle because it's old and hard, and a serrated knife that's very sharp will help. It's a struggle. I'm having some success removing it from the inside of the windshield as well, which anything that you can get is going to be helpful. So I was able to lift the glass up and out of the truck without removing all of that lower edge, and I was able to accomplish that by removing down to basically the bottom of the A-pillar on both sides, all of the rubber both inside and most of the outside. And then I tipped it forward, and the windshield came out. The top edge was able to clear this lip satisfactorily. So that's out. So now I will peel the rubber and separate the stainless trim, and I'll be able to give you a cross section to see how it's actually assembled. So the stainless trim has these little connection pieces that basically are little sleeves There's one at the center on the bottom. There's one at the center on the top. And then there's one about halfway up the A-pillar on each side. You'll notice that the trim has a horizontal flange. It's at a right angle to the face of the trim. And then that trim flange has a lip that goes at a right angle up. And that's, I guess, to keep it from pulling out, because that little lip here would catch and hook and not allow the trim to be pulled out by the fingers. So that's an important feature. So I'm now going to cut through here so we can get a end view look of what the rubber is made like. So here you're looking at the windshield gasket. The outside is where my fingertip is tapping, where the trim lives. And you can see how the trim goes into the rubber rubber piece at a right angle, and then it has a right angle there that kind of holds it in place and keeps it from being pulled out as long as the glass is in place. So I think what happens during assembly is you put the rubber gasket on the windshield, tape it in place so it's exactly where you want it. Then you put the trim in by peeling down this edge here, slide the trim in, fold that back up. Now you have all the trim in the gasket. Now you put the gasket on the truck. This lower bottom groove is where the metal flange of the windshield frame goes. Where my thumb is now is going to be outside the cab, and this is going to be inside the cab against the dash. So that's how it sits. Well, the windshield is out. Now it's time to do a good assessment of these rotted areas. Looks like I have some rot right here too on the passenger side, so that's not surprising. We'll get all that rebuilt and cleaned up, and we'll put a new windshield in it. Stay tuned.